I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide, Cole Johnson. And on this episode, we're going to talk about gun safety. Really? Again? Coach firings. Etiquette on wins for a player and other things of the sports nation. And of course, can't forget about the VIP zone. We'll visit that at intermittent parts of the show. But for right now, let's get to the headlines. So we start Friday in Los Angeles, where the Lakers did not want to go back to San Francisco for I have to say it correctly. They didn't want to go back to San Francisco for
Game 7.
So with a 30-point performance from LeBron James, the Lakers went about their merry business and crushed the defending world champion Golden State Warriors 122-101 in Game 6 of the Western Conference Semifinals matchup. Well, after the Game 4 adjustment from the Warriors trying to speed up the tempo to being countered by Lonnie Walker IV, it looked like it just went all downhill for the defending champs. So that means the Lakers advance and they play the Nuggets. And they played yesterday. And, well, let's talk about that game yesterday. So they went into it thinking that, well, they probably need to be fast since, well, the presence is big for the Nuggets. After all, they have two-time MVP Nikola Jokic in the post. Well, it looked like things were troublesome for them with their three-guard lineup for the Lakers in the first half. Then they made a switch, putting Rui Hachimura in to defend Jokic, and the Lakers seemed to have some success in the second half. However, with a pair of 31-point performances from Jokic and Jamal Murray, by the way, Jokic performing another triple-double in this game. If I'm not mistaken, I think the number was 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 14 dimes. They squeaked out a 132-126 victory in Game 1. Now, this matchup is interesting and intriguing because of the 4 teams left in the playoffs, the Lakers supposedly are the best statistical defensive team, and the Nuggets are supposedly the best statistical offensive team. So it is probably a matter of which style is going to win out. The one that slows down the pace or the one that speeds it up. But right now it is 1-0 in the Western Conference Finals between the Lakers and the Nuggets. Game 2, tip-off 9:30 p.m. is Thursday night. Now, for the contemporaries over in the Eastern Conference, let's start with the Heat as they burned out the Knicks, literally. We got down to South Beach over the weekend, and Heat coach Eric Spoelstra walked to the post-game interview room, felt celebratory a little bit, and he took his seat and he explained that difficult journey for the Heat, which they were losing in the first play-in game. Then they had to win the second play-in game just to get the 8th seed. And now they are in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. The 8th seed, powered in Game 6 of their Eastern Conference semifinal series against the Knicks by Jimmy Butler's 24 and Bam Adebayo's 23. They toppled the New York Knicks 96-92, and they advanced to play the Sixers. Doggone well that was going to happen. The Sixers had, oh God, I can't believe this. They had the Celtics down 83-81, up three games to 2 in their Eastern Conference semifinals matchup, and then one after another. And it sparked a 16-point fourth quarter barrage in only a 5-minute span from Jason Tatum, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn the first 55 minutes of the game. I mean, first 40 minutes of the game. It just it was ridiculous to see the Sixers just melt all the way down. And then we get to
Game 7.
First half was contentious. Then we get to the third quarter where the Sixers only scored 10 points. The Celtics scored 33. Tatum decides to put forth 51 and fill up 4 3-pointers in a 90-second span. And that pretty much was it. 112-88 was the final score. Who cares about the MVP's team in Joel Embiid? They go out of the Eastern Conference Semifinals for the 4th time in the last 5 years. Meanwhile, we now have the Eastern Conference Final, which has been the 3rd time in 4 years these two teams have competed, which is the Celtics and the Heat. Game 1 tonight in Boston. These two teams know each other well, and these two teams play pretty good series. Each one has gone 7 games. Hopefully, in this one, we will see a
Game 7.
Oh, that's right. And speaking of a
Game 7.
the only conference semifinal matchup in the NHL that went that long was the Kraken and the Stars. Well, they battled it out Monday night, and up 1-0 in the third period. Wyatt Johnston, who celebrated his birthday the day before, he gave us before an icing call could have been made, he gave us one of the most spectacular goals I have ever laid eyes on. And it needed to be that way because the goaltending was absolutely on point the whole entire game on both nets. But it was a shot like that which was insurance for the Stars to go on to beat the Kraken 2-1. They win 4-3, and they go on to meet the Golden Knights of Vegas. Yes. They did not go to a Game 7. They shut it out in 6. 5-2 was the final score. Jonathan Marchessault scored 3 goals to actually make it the difference. And over the weekend, they went to Canada. They did their business, and now they travel back to Vegas, where they start their Western Conference Finals matchup at home against the Stars. And that happens Friday. Now, the Eastern Conference matchup between, which has been set for almost a week, the Panthers of Florida and the Hurricanes of Carolina, that tips off tonight. So the Eastern Conference Finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs begins tonight, and the Conference Finals of the NBA started last night, with the Eastern Conference tilt of the Heat Celtics that also begins tonight. Whew. Exciting times for both the NHL and the NBA. On to the NFL, and the gridiron celebrants can now relax. They can smile, especially in DC, because the Josh Harris group has finalized the sale between them, the Daniel Snyder family, and the Washington Commanders. Now, the Daniel Snyder era, which has been almost 28 years in running, is just about over, thanks to a person being familiar with the situation of the sale, saying that the final number is going to be $6.05 billion, not million, billion. Which, yes, that's the largest price tag to date for the purchase of a North American professional sports franchise. Over $6 billion. Now, I'm happy about the Josh Harris group because among them, one of the minority owners, I should say one of the principal owners, is Magic Johnson. And there's many others, but Josh Harris is the majority owner of this group. He will be the point person when they go to these owners meetings, wherever they hold them in the spring. And now DC can celebrate. The Daniel Snyder era is just about gone. The only issue I have is doggone. So you can abuse people and get rich. Whew. Doggone. So you pay for a few million, and you walk out $6 billion richer. Something just as milky in that water. Anyway, that concludes this week's headlines. A break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a man who has lips tattoo on his neck, talking about kissing. This is Cole Sportz with a Z. We'll be right back right after this.
You have to learn to live with yourself before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up, you know what I'm saying?
It just had everything, but I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy. Every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Quinn.
Moment of clarity. I haven't watched BET in years.
KP.
Drake needs to come back with another triple platinum album.
E. Digger.
And then you have Ray J. Like, I can't stand that River Cricket.
The Guru.
Okay, the level of crack she's smoking, I don't want it.
BS3 Network proudly presents the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, where from card tips to hot topics to meep of the week, anything goes. Live every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Central. Welcome back, Cole Johnson, Cole Sportz. And why does it have to be etiquette when it comes to celebrating wins? Anyway, I'll get to that momentarily, but we make our first of 4 trips into the VIP zone. Now, any comment that I find very stimulating, it will become a chapter on this broadcast. So make those comments count, because they are the lifeblood of the show, just like you are. And starting off with Victor Lock, or VLock83, or Vicalock. Some other show calls him that. I don't know what it is. He says, and now it's time for the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz with the Z. Show your love for the genius himself, Cole Johnson. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ryan McCarthy of No Credentials Required fame, he says, ow! It's time for Cole Sportz with the Z. My advice to Jar Jar Binks, put down the gun, son, and put the gun down, son. I love that advice, Ryan, and I 100% agree with you. I'm sorry. I'm Ray LJPN, and I approve all that. I'm sorry. BS3 Network, aka Ben. No. Let me do this correctly. The owner, the manipulator, and the operator of the BS3 Network, Benjamin Southeth, says, good afternoon to you, sir. It is always a pleasure to have you on board. A Pizzle 90, he says, with a Z, good to have you on board. And then, of course, Victor comes back and he says, belong to Magii Jensen. The belong to Magii Jensen. The belong to Magii Jensen. Well, yes, it does. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the whole team, actually. Now, unfortunately, I had to go from the sublime to the ridiculous. And I couldn't believe my ears when I heard that the Kenyan Martin, a former NBA player, you know him best with the Nets. He also was with the Nuggets. He was on Gilbert Arenas' show, Gil's Arena. And he voiced something that sort of took him off guard, sort of made him feel not so good, and involved Julius Randle and his wife, Kendra. And what is that? Well, I think I got to send one of these. Email Kenyan Martin. CC Gilbert Arenas. Subject of email: let Julius live. Body of email: all right, so to set the scene, Game 5, Eastern Conference Semifinals matchup between the Heat and the Knicks. This is in MSG, Madison Square Garden. So the Knicks win the game. I think it was 112-103. Jalen Brunson had one of those spectacular games. He played all 48 minutes and scored 38 points. He was basically the star of the show. But the focus after that game went toward Julius Randle. And not necessarily just him, but his wife Kendra as well. So after that win, Randle made his way over to where his wife was, found her, and the two of them shared a kiss as the Knicks extended the playoff series. And, of course, they lost it in South Beach on Friday. Following that playoff elimination, former NBA forward Kenyan Martin decided to voice what was displeasure toward the celebratory kiss of Julius Randle and his wife Kendra on the show Gil's Arena, starring former NBA guard of the Wizards, Gilbert Arenas. Now, he went on to say this about the foul play, should we say? Quote, that's the first thing you do? Where's your mindset at? I mean, it was the very first thing he did. Look, I'm going to be with my guys. We just got done winning. I'm not even thinking about you. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Close quote.
Come on!
Really, Kenyan? Really? Really?
You for real?
Kenya?
You've got to be joking me.
Kenya?
No!
We are living in these days and times where when we don't get a chance to see athletes celebrate that way, you're going to rail against that because it has to be all about, well, it's what my boys did, so we're going to celebrate with my boys first. Then everything else comes after. You know that mentality is, man. And I heard this all throughout my teenage years, all throughout my early adult life, and even into my 30s. You know that that saying that you're basically forcing to come out of your mouth, Kenyan, bros before hoes. That is what you're basically saying. So I hear that, and I'm seeing you, and I'm inferring. I'm not saying this is what you said, sir, but I'm inferring to the fact that you're basically labeling a player's wife a hoe. Look, I get there's times there's bros before hoes. I get that. And I also get that when you're married, sometimes everything that is outside the court takes a backseat to what happens on the court. Now, if this was in the middle of the game, if this was at halftime, maybe, if this was between quarters, then you have a point. The game is over. And they won. I would almost somewhat get it if this was at the game 6 and the Knicks lost and he went to try to find comfort. But then I would say, well, yeah, I understand. The Knicks just lost the series. They're eliminated from playoffs. They're going home for the season. He wanted to find comfort at some point, and he went to the first place where he could find it. That's how I would describe it. In this case, the Knicks won. Have them be happy. Let them celebrate. There's no reason for you to throw shade on a man celebrating. And if he happens to do it with his wife, that's even better. Good Lord, man. But I actually love the fact that Kendra decided to clap back at him. And so she did. You know, she read all of this and she saw what Kenyan Martin had to say. And she took to social media. Actually went to Twitter. And she had this to say about Kenyan's comments. Quote, both of us, crying, laughing emojis times 3. Slow news day, I guess. Both of us grew up in single-parent homes. We never saw our dads respect our mothers. I'm so grateful my kids get to grow up watching their dad be the best father and husband. Heart emoji. Close quote. Kenyan, let me break it down to you. You see, what Kendra said to you was,
this whole thing stinks to high heaven.
And she's right. It does stink to high heaven. How can a man that has a tattoo of lips all adorning his side of his neck, lips big and ruby red, have the nerve to talk about kissing decorum? You have no right, no room, nor any type of jurisdiction to say a thing about how athletes celebrate. The clock read zeros on the board. The game was over. The team won. If he wanted to celebrate with the crowd, which I've seen players do, before even going to his teammates, that's his business. But this is to further fan the flames, especially in the New York area, of saying, well, it's Julius Randle over here, it's the rest of the Knicks over here. Not all things are salacious in tone. This was just simply a case of he wanted to celebrate with his family, and the most important teammate of his life is celebrating a victory with him. Let him live. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. Don't come for him unnecessarily, because this, Mr. Martin, is you coming at him unnecessarily. And I do mean this, sir. You with those big, ugly lips tattooed on your neck, having the nerve to talk about, well, it's a bro code. I got to celebrate with my boys first. Look, that bros before hoes mentality is cancerous. It's cancerous when we're single. It is worse than cancerous if you're married. So let the man live. Let him celebrate with his family. I think it's great. Unfortunately, he couldn't celebrate further because the next game, his team got eliminated and he had a porous game. Well, everybody but Jalen Brunson on the Knicks had a porous game. But there's things to complain about. There's things to rail against. And there's things to say, you know what? I don't think this is worth our time. An athlete kissing his wife after the game is over is not one of them. Let them celebrate. In fact, I think that's a great thing. And maybe if you had one of your own, I think you would not have the take that you have. And yeah, until your partner Gilbert Arenas to do the same thing, because he seems to be so transfixed of wanting to be a troll to everybody, including the people in Flint who has dirty water too. Yeah. If you're going to have advice, have it be good advice. Have it be something that's worth our time, not something that makes you look like, oh, I don't know, National Enquirer fodder. Do better, bro. Seriously. I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Kenyan. Please do better, bro. Please. Cole Johnson. Cole Sportz. Cole Sportz. With a Z. At gmail.com. After From the Vault, the DOLT of the week.
Classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz! From the Vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history.
May 17th, 1998. It was a day that seemed a ring of history even before the first pitch was thrown. David Wells took the hill, and he wore a game-used Babe Ruth cap that he purchased for more than $30,000. He even wore the number 33 when he played in the Bronx's tribute to the Babe's iconic number 3, which is retired because they wouldn't let him wear the number 3. Well, on this day, he decided to give us a treat and a half as the Minnesota Twins came into town, and it just looked like they had nothing for him. Bernie Williams provided Wells a bit of breathing room when he smacked the first pitch he saw in the fourth inning deep to right field to make the game 2-0. Wells probably didn't need that cushion, but the cushion he got because he just mowed down one batter after another, after another, after another. The final score was 4-0, but that is not the reason why this date is celebratory. It is so because Wells pitched a perfect game. And not only that, he pitched a perfect game in Yankee Stadium. And not only that, he pitched a perfect game in Yankee Stadium, the first of its kind in 42 years. David Wells pitches a perfect game in Yankee Stadium on this date in 1998.
From the Vault, brought to you by Cole Sportz. This is a journey into crime. A podcast journey that tells the stories of those long forgotten or those easy to remember. We go on a journey that reveals mystery, intrigue, and offers more twists and turns than a country highway. We have looked over cases, we've combed over evidence and testimony, yet we still are left with no answers. Sometimes, in order to get a deeper understanding of something, you must return to view. Now available for download for subscribers only. Each episode premieres only on the USA Today network. Join now for just $1 to receive premium content like Return to View. That's $1 to become a subscriber and a Return to View loyal listener. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to Cole Sportz. Cole Johnson here. And let's trace back to the VIP zone where you all are just so lovely. I just love it. My man, the man who is the moderator of the Queen 3 and King podcast, the man I call Ivan, or people call King Doc, or our favorite uncle. He says, what up? What up, brother? It is good to see you, man. I'm glad you're part of the fam. Ryan says, salute to you. Victor says, look, something tells me Kenyan needs Bromble. Oh, Lord. Don't pitch products here, man. He also says, good afternoon to you too, King Doc. Victor also says, look, we've come to a point where men are being shamed for sharing big victories for his forever teammate. The one teammate that never abandoned him and stuck with him through thick and thin. In the words of Eddie Murphy, have a coconut smile and shut up. I think I could not have said that better, and Kenyan needs to hear all those words. Miss Mocha, hey, Cole Sportz, she says. How you doing, Stephanie? It's great to see you. That's one of my podcasting sisters. I'm glad to see you. I hope Baltimore is going well for you. Ryan says, look, David Wells also pitched that game perfect with a hangover, which that is true. I did read that he did. He says hello to you too, Stephanie. Same thing from Victor. CJU Slazy, what is up? One half of the Elevate team. You can find that show Thursday, 7 p.m. on the BS3 network. He says, what's good, y'all? What's good, brother? I hope everything's good with you. Hope everything's good, man. It is so good. I'm glad everybody's here. I'm glad everybody is settled in. Let's get relaxed because now we have come to the point of the show where we get an award. Our next DOLT of the week. DOLT of the Week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's DOLT of the Week is... Demetrius Morant. I don't even want to award this to him. I don't. For those who are unawares, this past weekend, in fact, on Saturday, he was caught on Instagram Live, one of his partners' Instagram Lives. They were listening to, I forgot what hip-hop song they were listening to. They were in a car, and his boy was filming, and he tilts the phone camera in Morant's direction, and you see him holding something that resembles a firearm in his hand. Now, for those who are new to the party, go back about a couple months and you saw him, he was at a strip club and he took a couple pictures of him with girls dancing on his lap. And then he also took an Instagram live video of him being cuddled cheek to cheek with his firearm, with another one. And you have those who want to say, well, what is wrong with this picture? I'm sure he must be legal. He must be legal to own it. He's not breaking a law. True as all that may be. True as all that may sound. True as all that is, because yes, you have a Second Amendment right to carry arms. Yes. But it's similar to one of the First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. Yes, you have the freedom of speech. It means that the government cannot punish you for saying things. It does not mean that you are free from the consequences of saying things. A gun owner is not free from the consequences of whatever he or she may undergo should he, I don't know, sign a contract stating that if you were to carry weapons outside of your home, you are liable to be punished. Now, I can go on and I could be brash and I could say, well, Morant, he's a thug. I mean, look the way he styles his hair. Look the way he talks. He listens to hip hop songs. He's a straight thug. Hold on. Let me nip all that in the bud. He's a straight thug. Then you ain't paid attention. I can look at Morant and the last word I can think of when it comes to him is thug. He is not one. He comes from a middle-class background in South Carolina. His father T is middle class, so is his mother, so is his younger sister. And yes, he does have a daughter. That now the daughter I think is close to 4 now. But I have known of Morant ever since he got to Murray State, which my home base is Nashville. Murray State's about an hour away from here. So I've known of him for about at least 7 years. There isn't a thing about him that screams gangster, thug, or problem child, or problematic, or dangerous, or scared. Nothing of him states that. Nothing. Nothing he wears, nothing he says, none of the way he acts does. So it's not even that at all. And the people who want to claim that he is a thug, you all need to catch one of these. No. It's not that he's a thug. It is that he's trying to grow into his manhood. And sometimes when you do grow into your manhood, you slip, you fall, and you might do so in a very spectacular fashion. And this is one of those times where you're catching someone who has a bag of 9 figures slipping and falling in a spectacular fashion. Because, yeah, I was 23 once, and I made mistakes all over the place at 23. Unfortunately, just like Morant is. But it doesn't mean that he is no bad human being, because he's not. It doesn't mean that he is a scum of the earth, which I've heard some content creators actually say. And all I got to say to you is, come on! Because if the same thing would happen to you, you would be saying you all are speaking out of turn, out of your neck, and out of pocket. No. There isn't anything wrong in terms of societal and morality with Morant. Not a thing. This is a case of maturity. Pure, plain, simple. And it could be a black guy, a white guy, a yellow guy, a red guy, or a brown guy. It does not matter. It is a maturity issue. Because for me, I'm saying to myself, I got trained with many different weapons long before I was 23. And I learned that you cannot play with weapons because you never know. You might make one wrong move and you might hurt somebody else or you might hurt yourself. The fact that we have now seen him do 2 different videos in a 2-month span where he's treating guns like a prop is dangerous and it's immature. That is my focus with him. His immaturity. Because if you get trained with a weapon, and I know some of you, especially my man Ivan, can attest to what I'm about to say. You get trained with a weapon, you respect it, and you will not treat it as a toy. You will treat it with the respect it deserves because that weapon can change lives. And it can change yours mighty fast with just one click of a trigger. One squeeze of it, it will change the life of anybody and everybody. That is my issue with him. Because he keeps playing with these guns, he's going to hurt himself. And I'm not just talking about his bag. I mean, he might physically hurt himself. That is my dilemma with him. And he didn't learn his lesson in March. He's doing it again. And so this is one of those big brother, little brother talks, or heck, I'm old enough to be your father, actually. A father-son talk, but you got a father. And for those who want to say, well, you know, this calls for T. He needs to pull him aside. I'm like, he's a grown man. All T can do is what I'm doing, is tell him, you got to think with the head above your waist and not the head below it when it comes to these weapons. What else can he tell him? He can't snatch him up. He can't whoop him. He can't beat him down. He's a grown man because he's going to say something similar to him as what my father has said to me when I've had to come across some types of decisions like these, which is, you're a man now, and there's going to be some lessons that you're going to have to learn that I can't punish you for. Because you got to learn the hard way your doggone self. And I'm guaranteeing you that's what T is saying to Ja. And if T is not saying it to him, his circle is saying it to him. And if his circle is not saying it to him, you most assuredly can bet the NBA and the Memphis Grizzlies and his teammates are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are one of the faces of the league, Ja. Yes, you have a bag, Ja. Yes, all of this is true, Ja. But your life is more precious than all of that. I don't want you to make the mistake of having a weapon, you discharge it, and you hurt yourself or you hurt somebody else that you care about. You have a daughter that's almost 4. You shouldn't even want to play like that with guns, man. And it's something that you should take seriously. Don't ever play around with them things, man. Don't play around for 1 second. Respect the power of the gun. Respect it. And I guarantee you, you won't get about 90% of the trash that's being hurled in your direction in terms of, well, he's a thug. You're not a thug. You just want to know what a man is. But here's one way to understand what a man is, bro. You've made a mistake. Learn from it, grow from it, and be like what Muhammad Ali said about men. If you're the same way as 50 as you are at 20, you've wasted 30 years of your life. Learn from this lesson, sir, and then when you get to be 50, you can look back and laugh and say, "Good Lord, I was so immature back then." Then you know what it is like to be a man. One more break and we will come back talking about the hiring and firing carousel that happens to be the NBA. This time it is Doc Rivers' turn. You are watching and you're listening to Cole Sportz with the Z. We'll be right back.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
Coming up on next week's Cole Sportz, we'll delve deep into the NHL Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. The same thing with the NBA Eastern Western Conference Finals. We might dig into some NFL too, and a little bit of MLB as well. You never know what's going to be coming up, and of course, we'll be inching our way closer to Memorial Day and the 2 finals that will take place starting in June. That is next week, but that is for another time, and we take another trip back to the VIP zone, where Victor starts it off by saying, and now Stupid University presents DOLT of the Week. My man CJ says, man, that man was turned on that NBA young boy. I think he was, at least from what I was hearing. I think that's what he was listening to, and his boys were listening to. Ryan says, look, sorry, Cole. I had to take a call when you were giving your This Day in Sports. I had you on. Mood him. My bad. You see, you're lucky you're on this show, because if it was on another show, since you commented on what I did, I would play something, and you know what I would play. Why the I'll just start there and end there. Miss Mocha, God, I love her. She says, like, who are John Morant's people? How is no one tapping him on the shoulder? 100, sis. That's where I am with it. Snowman Multimedia, or my Snowman the Morning partner, Snowman, he says, Cole Sportz with a Z. He says also maturity or lack thereof. CJ goes on, he says, look, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, said need to punish that behind for real. He unfortunately got to learn the hard way. And he's lucky this ain't David Stern. He would have given him a 3-year ban. Yeah, all you had to do is just think about the mouse at the palace back in November of 2004. And yeah, David, he did rule with an iron fist in that situation for sure. Victor says, look, John may need to sit down or be sat down and explained how his actions can be potentially fatal. And I think he needs to understand that this is a bad look for the league and a bad look for your image. No, I mean, you actually might do some irreparable, fatal damage to yourself and other people. Ryan says, look, the wrong people apparently, Miss Mocha. She says, stop thinking with the wrong head. I like that. And yes, I agree. Snowman says, dear Doc Rivers, you fired. And Ryan says, look, John needs to have a talk with Craig's dad from Friday about what it takes to be a man. Mm-hmm. You win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day, because that's what it's about. Living, living, living. All right, so we've seen the NBA coach carousel take one turn after another after another. So Budenholzer of the Bucks gone. We saw Nick Nurse of the Raptors gone. We witnessed earlier this week Monty Williams of the Suns gone. And now it is Doc Rivers' turn. And because of that, I got to go in. $154-82. I will say that record again. 154-82. That is the record that Doc Rivers in his 3 seasons as the Sixers head coach compiled in the regular season. And in the division in which they reside, they finished either first or second. But it isn't about the pretty regular season mark. And it isn't about the fact that they made the postseason all 3 years. It's not even the fact that he won a playoff series all 3 years he went. No. In fact, the Sixers president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, he decided to pump more love into Mr. Glenn Rivers when he said about him, quote, Doc Rivers, he is one of the most successful coaches in NBA history. He's a future Hall of Famer and someone I immensely respect. We're grateful for all he did in his 3 seasons here and thank him for the important impact he made on our franchise. Having a chance to reflect on our season, we decided that certain changes are necessary to further our goals of competing for a championship. Close quote. All right. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Kawhi. Look, that's a Chat GPT version of saying, yeah, he did his thing in the regular season, but we need somebody to take us to the finals. And he wasn't it. That's basically what, in a Chat GPT version of what Morey just said. All nice and platitudinal, but still, he didn't get the job done because he's on a team when he signed on the dotted line that was supposed to get this ragtag bunch, the Trust the Process crew, to the conference finals at least, but definitely the NBA finals. But we're talking about a crew. We're talking about a team that in 2019, they were eliminated in the conference semifinals. 2020, they were eliminated in the first round. 2021, they were eliminated in the conference semifinals. 2022, they were eliminated in the conference semifinals. And we just got out and finished in 2023. Guess which round that they got eliminated in this year? That's right, because if you said conference semifinals, you want a brand new No, I'm not Oprah. No. Mm-mm. Yes, the conference semifinals. 4 out of the last 5 years, the Trust the Process crew, now clad with the reigning defending MVP of the season in Joel Embiid, has not advanced past the conference semifinals. In fact, the 76ers of the franchise hasn't advanced past the conference semifinals since Allen Iverson was breaking ankles and blowing by people with the most explosive first step I've ever seen, maybe for the rare exception of, Derrick Rose. And we're talking 2001. 22 years, and this story franchise has not even sniffed a conference finals series. Not a finals. They haven't sniffed a conference finals series in that long. They brought Rivers to advance them further. They got no further. And because of that, that is problematic. And here's the other problematic things that have taken place. So you dealt with Ben Simmons, who he wanted no parts of a basketball or a court, and then he gets traded to New Jersey, and he doesn't even want to play for them, yet he finds it necessary to troll the Sixers when he posted a picture on Twitter happily gloating that the Sixers are getting their butts whooped in a
Game 7.
to the tune of 112.88. But who really thinks that the Sixers need to have Ben Simmons on their squad? It's just ridiculous. So you had to deal with him, and they traded him after he wanted to hold out, and then he played practice squad, and he just sat down. He looked like one of those models on the bench. Then you get James Harden in there, who decided to blow up like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and just simply throw middle fingers at every single COVID protocol known to NBA man to get out of Houston, float his way to Brooklyn, get injured there, now want to play with Kyrie, and then force a trade to Philly, where he now can be just as disappointed as Embiid because he too cannot get past the conference semifinals either. And now he wants to opt out his contract and go back to Houston.
What?
He wants to opt out of his contract and go back to Houston.
What?
I said he wanted to opt out his contract and go back to Houston. You could miss him 100% with that. No, stay where you are or retire, because you're not going to affect the team positively in any way, shape, form, or fashion, because, Mr. Harden, you are no longer a number one option. You're not a number one option right now on the team in which you reside currently. So what makes you think that you will be the number one option on a team that needs to have somebody who can take them somewhere, not basically be your yes man and do nothing? Yeah. So, unfortunately, you had all those pieces that you really could work with, and the one piece you could work with in Tyrese Maxey, to me, when you brought Harden on board, you delayed that man's growth. Because in my opinion, Maxey and Embiid, I think, could have developed a chemistry together where those two could have been the linchpin to the trust the process crew, and they probably could have advanced further. But no, you wanted to have that veteran guidance, that veteran leadership that just simply wasn't going to work. And it just simply went all to pot.
Yes!
So, am I surprised, Mr. Rivers, you got fired? Am I surprised at all? No. In fact, when you had to deal with that Game 6 debacle where you were up 83-81, but your team was stuck on 83 because you decided to make one bad decision with the ball after another, all I kept saying to you was,
"You for real?"
Because, sir, your team had no clue. And seeing a whole team have no clue, I had to look at the bench and say, okay, it looks like somebody else doesn't have a clue. But the problem with that is your experience in these Game 7s. If I'm not mistaken, if memory serves it correct, you have coached in 20 of them? No, you coached in 17 of them. And 10 of them you have taken in Game 7s, you have taken Yeah, it's unfortunate, Doc. I mean, you have coached many.
Game 7.
And 10 times, especially this past Sunday, which led to your ouster in Philly, you taken openings. I mean, you could end up in Toronto. You could end up in Milwaukee. Heck, you could end up in Houston. Who knows? But take the time to enjoy your life, man, because you already have a championship. You have a championship as a coach. You went to the finals again. and you lost in another.
Game 7.
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it, and don't even think about wanting to run a team or be a leader of one. No, just enjoy your life, man, because the Sixers and the Trust the Process crew, they put you behind the 8 ball, and you had no other choice but to roll with the punches. And what you got is that you were put on a team that you could not advance any further than the furthest that they could go. And no matter what you wanted to do, they tuned you out, and they showed you that they aren't championship material. You are. They're not. It's unfortunate for them. It's also unfortunate for the Trust the Process crew, but it's unfortunate for Philadelphians who root for them because they deserve a team that has much more heart than the ones that are on the field at Wells Fargo Center now. At least you won't get a chance to see the further disintegration of the Trust Process, Doc. Pop the bottle to that. All right, we will make one last trip into the VIP zone because it is the lifeblood of our show. We love all of what you all do. My man Snowman, he says, greetings to everybody. To Miss Moga, to V-Like83, to Ryan McCarthy, and to CJ U Sleazy, and I pass along those same greetings to all of you. Victor says, look, and if he hurts someone with that firearm, talk about Ja, he won't be able to come back from it. Mighty, mighty true. Yes, I agree. It just guns are like the Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't nothing to play with. I'm sorry, they just aren't. If you feel led to donate to anything that we do at Comey Media or Cole Sportz, the Cash App right there is there. Cash.app /$ host Cole Johnson. That's Cash.app / host Cole Johnson. And that wraps up yet another edition of Cole Sportz. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you, VIP Zone. You all wrapped beautifully. Thank you to those who are listening on Spreaker, those who are watching the BS3 Network, and those who are watching right now live on the YouTube channel. I am Cole Johnson, and this is Cole Sportz with the Z.
Thank you for tuning in to Cole Sportz. To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sportz with the Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sportz VIP Boutique. That's with the Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com /page /host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.